name is Veena Nantakumar. Okay, so for clinical depression, it's something that you need to be actually experiencing for a period for at least 2 weeks or so, that you're actually feeling very sad and down and miserable most of the time, that you've lost interest or pleasure in most activities, and you also experience several of the signs and symptoms, then that's a good indicator that you might be clinically depressed. Okay, so when we talk about treatments, they are broken into psychological treatments, as we talk about talk therapies, and we also talk about medical treatment as well, which is more of antidepressant medication as well. So when I talk about talk therapies, it actually helps you change your thinking patterns. It actually helps you in terms of improving your coping skills, so you're better equipped to deal with life stresses and conflicts. So there are things like several effective psychological treatments for depression, like cognitive behavior therapy or mindfulness-based cognitive therapy as well. So all these sort of psychological treatments are actually delivered by a professional such as a psychologist or a counsellor as well on a one-to-one basis or in a group setting as well. When we talk about medical treatments in that way, it's quite different. So that is like antidepressant medication. So there's a lot of different antidepressants or medication that the doctor might prescribe. So this is usually really necessary when the person has more moderate to severe level of depression. So then they would actually prescribe it along with the psychological treatments that might be required as well. So sometimes the people with more severe forms of depression, like bipolar or psychosis, they might be needed to be treated with medication. And this might be a combination of mood stabilizers, antipsychotic drugs, and even antidepressants as well. So these are the kind of medications that would be actually best to discuss with a psychiatrist. Other sort of different treatments would be trying to actually see whether you want to discuss with a health professional about lifestyle changes and actually getting social support. So things like maintaining a healthy lifestyle, connecting to support groups and online forums for more emotional support in terms of your recovery, relaxation training, and also support from family and friends. That can be very important as well. Okay, so depression is a chronic condition that actually lasts over a period of time. So depression can be treated and the symptoms actually can be alleviated. They can be improved over time with the right treatment, but there is no cure per se for depression. So what you can actually look for is remission is actually the goal. That means like really a reduction in the symptoms where the depression is actually much better, where the person can actually be able to cope and they can still be able to function well in their day-to-day life. So the thing to know is that there's a high rate of reoccurrence at times. So about 50% of cases, depression can come up again for individual who has had one episode of depression in their life before. So that's something for them to monitor. Okay, this is definitely false. There are actually a number of individuals, actually a lot of even famous celebrities who actually learn to manage their mental health conditions and they live full and meaningful lives. So basically attitude is everything, right? You've got to maintain a good positive attitude for a healthy mind as well. So it's actually kind of knowing that if you get the right treatment in collaboration with your psychiatrist or psychologist or whatever mental health professional that you're working with. So this is definitely not true. You can actually do a lot of things for persons with mental health conditions. So basically, the chance of actually not developing a mental health illness is greater than a chance of developing one. So basically, even if you have a relative with a mental health condition, doesn't necessarily mean that you will have a mental health condition. It really depends on your lifestyle and other sort of factors as well. So a lot of environmental factors like loneliness, having a stressful life event can also cause mental health conditions, not just whether you have family members or relatives with a mental health condition. So basically, it's important to know that there are different ways of looking after your mental health, which is important in the first place, so that you can reduce your risk of actually developing a mental health condition, even if you have a family history of it. But even if you don't, it's also making sure that you maintain your own mental wellness. I think in Singapore, there's still a lot of myths. One myth that people have is that people with mental health problems have basically a weak character or personality flaws. So that is definitely false. It's not true that it's about the individual who is weak or is of poor personality. It's basically like catching the flu. You know, if the person can't help it, if through a series of circumstances in their life that they go through, that they actually develop, you know, depression or a mental health condition that happens to them. So basically, you need to also give them time, and also with treatment, they will get better as well. People with mental illness are dangerous and violent, which is not true. Generally, media tends to create this impression that, you know, people who have mental health issues are unstable, or, you know, they're going to do something to hurt other people. But generally, what it's usually like is that these portrayals are very sensationalized. It really doesn't usually happen in real life, where people are wielding, you know, knives. And basically, a lot of the time we need to know that the persons with mental health conditions are themselves at risk of violence or hurt themselves, because they are vulnerable when they are in such a state. So we need to actually protect people like this in society as well. Another one is that people with mental health conditions have a choice, and they can actually get better or snap out of it if they want to. So it's an illness. So same way you can't ask a person with cancer to just snap out of it or not have cancer. Similarly, you can't ask a person with a mental health condition to, you know, just snap out of it, because it is an actual illness. So it takes time, it takes treatment, and it takes a lot of understanding and patience on our part as well.